not true.
Oh, he's sick.
Oh, here it is.
So we got one here, but we got one here. Oh, was this for you, Bruce? It says Bruce L.
Really? I'll see what it is.
So I already have one.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I guess that's for me. Thank you.
Yeah, I got one. But mine doesn't say Bruce L.
And it shouldn't. If I could spread out.
Mm-hmm. We ready? There, Mrs.?
Yes.
Okay.
I can.
We ready?
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so it's 7 o'clock. Time to start. Well, actually, let me just do this, guys. I'm going to read this thing over again. I'm supposed to do it every meeting. This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. This meeting of May 10th, with instructions for internet access, was included in a meeting notice sent to the Burlington County Times and Courier Post on January 6, 2022, and advertised in said newspapers on January 9th, 2022, and January 12th, 2022. Respectfully posted on the website and the bulletin board in the Municipal Building on January 6, 2022, and has remained continuously posted as required under the statute. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file with the Office of the Municipal Clerk. So plenty of notice was given for this meeting. So, with that, I'd like to have the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, Committeeman Montgomery is with us in speaker only tonight, but he gets a credit for attending the meeting, correct?
Yes, I can see him.
You can see him.
I can see Ken.
Sorry, I can't be there in person. Probably by my voice that I'm a little under the weather.
So with that, can we have a roll call?
Mayor McLaughlin,
Here?
Mr. Klaus,
Here.
Mr. Levinson,
Here.
Mrs. Gilmore,
Here.
Mr. Montgomery.
Here.
Okay, first two items are the approval of the regular committee meeting minutes of April 12th, 2022.
Motion?
Second.
Mr. Klaus,
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore,
Yes.
Mr. Levinson,
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery,
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin.
Yes. In the reports, we have the tax collector, code enforcement, fire official.
Executive session minutes.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Let's vote to approve the executive session minutes of April 12th.
Motion to approve?
Motion.
Okay,
I second it.
Mr. Montgomery,
Yes.
Mr. Levinson,
Yes.
Mr. Klaus,
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore,
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin.
yes. And now we have the reports, tax collector, code enforcement, fire official, construction, and emergency services reports for April 2022.
I move that we approve and accept.
I'll second that.
Mrs. Gilmore,
Yes.
Mr. Klaus,
Yes.
Mr. Levinson,
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery,
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin.
Yes. So the next item would be comments from the public for agenda items only.
Mayor McLaughlin, if, before we do that, if I could make a request to amend tonight's agenda to add Resolution 2022-80-5, which was put in your binders. I did receive this certification from our planner for authorizing payment number 1 to World Corporation for the Municipal Park Playground for the work that they have done so far in the amount of $143,435.35. So I make a request to amend the agenda and
Motion.
to add this to it.
So should we make, should I approve that motion to make your request?
Yes,
Or to
make the
add it?
motion.
To add it?
Yeah, you can make a motion to amend the agenda.
Okay, I'd like to make that motion to amend agenda 2022-80-5.
Second,
Second.
third,
Mrs. Levinson, Mr. Levinson,
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore,
yes.
Mr. Klaus,
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery,
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin.
Yes. Okay, again, comments from the public, agenda items only. There'll be plenty of time for any public comment later in the meeting. Anybody online?
Just Mr. Montgomery.
Okay.
Only in here.
Yeah. Well, we have an ordinance tonight, 2022-5. It's amending ordinance 2021-6, adopting a redevelopment plan for certain properties known as Block 103.1, lots 1 through 8, and Block 113, lot 4.05, and specifically amending the Long Bridge redevelopment plan.
Motion.
I'll second the motion.
I would just like to add.
Wait, that's.
38
One second, one
Mount
second.
Laurel Road, right?
Ken?
Diagonally across from the Wawa.
Hey, Ken, hold on a second.
The motion is to open a hearing to the public, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It's public hearing and final adoption. Okay, I should have, I'll catch up with everybody in a minute or two. So, does anybody have a comment in the public about this ordinance? Okay, seeing that, we already have a motion and a second?
Do we need a new motion?
No.
Okay.
We can take a vote.
Mr. Klaus,
Yes.
Mr. Levinson,
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore,
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery,
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin.
Yes. Number 7 are consent agenda resolutions. There's a resolution for alcohol consumption on municipal property for a memorial for our departed Director of Public Works, Public Works Foreman Jay. There's a block party on 1 Hastings to 15 Hastings. We're accepting a performance bond for a developer, and we're looking to submit a grant application and execute a grant agreement with the State of New Jersey Board of Public Utilities for an electric vehicle charging station at our complex. So can we have a motion on those?
So I'd like to make a motion to approve 2266-5, 2267-5, 2268-5, and 2269-5.
Second that.
Mr. Levinson,
Yes.
Mr. Klaus,
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore,
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery,
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin.
Yes. Resolution 2022-70-5 authorizes a change order of year 2 for the turf maintenance contract. Would you like to talk about that?
Certainly. So I noticed that we did not have our contractor out here doing the needed work to our fields, and reached out to them, and unfortunately, they were going to rescind on their contract with us due to inflation and rising costs of commodities as well as labor constraints. So fortunately, they did come back and offer to continue to do the work with a 25% increase on various line items of their contract, which is for fertilizer and herbicide, as well as non-selective vegetative control as well. So a 25% increase equates to, what is it, $4,000? sorry.
Five.
$5,843.75 increase to the year 2 contract. They did try to increase year 3. We did not accept that provision. We said we want to deal with just year 2 for now, and we'll address year 3 when that time presents itself.
It's 15%.
Yeah, I believe that was 15%. Yeah.
Well, 15% of the total of year 2, right? Yeah.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. Resolution, the next resolution, 2022-71-5, appoints a commercial appraiser as an expert witness for certain tax appeals. That sounds pretty self-explanatory. Does anybody have any question on the resolution?
I'd like to make a motion to approve it. If nobody- Okay.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. The next resolution is 2022-72-5. This authorizes a change order to the contract with Remington and Vernick for engineering services for the Bancroft Lane Road and stormwater improvements.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. The next resolution awards a contract for fire company consultant services to the Public Safety Institute LLC. I'll do a little speaking about it, and then I'll turn it over to Paul. As a result of some shortages or lack of volunteers in our emergency services and resultant situations that developed, we've been looking to see what can be done to bolster our emergency services. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Paula.
Sure. So after doing some research on various professional consulting companies that have the credentials necessary to do this work, I make a recommendation to contract with Public Safety Institute Group to conduct a comprehensive evaluation of emergency services. We have 2 resolutions here. One is for the fire company and one is for our volunteer emergency squad. So they will review, collect data, do actual field work, communicate and meet with the designated township officials as well as the volunteers within the agency by conducting interviews, having various meetings. They will also meet with the mutual aid departments in the area as well. Providers and the coordinators review all of the calls for service, deployment of resources, and their incident reporting system. They will do an evaluation of mechanical and operational and fire apparatus by certified emergency vehicle technicians. They will assess the fire station and capital equipment and do a needs-based strategic plan for the apparatus as well as a replacement schedule. They will review their standard operating procedures, standard operating guidelines, bylaws, and rule books, review for consistency, congruency, compliance with our municipal code, and assist with developing a model contract for service. Review the cost of services, operational expenses, and financial reporting, and finally provide to the governing body, as well as our municipal officials, development of findings and recommendations. So this evaluation will take approximately 180 days, and the service for this fee is $39,645. And for the emergency services, emergency squad, it is $13,000.
Mayor, you can do both of those resolutions at once if you wish.
So I would ask that the committee include 2022-74-5 in the approval.
I'll make a motion.
I second that.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I have a question. Sorry, I was on mute. Paul, you said it takes 80 days. Is
What?
it 80 days just for the fire, or is it 80 days for the combined?
It's 180 days. It's 180 days. And it will be combined. It's my understanding that will be a combined time of 180 days, since they will be doing the evaluation at the same time of both
And
agencies.
confirm the total price again, sorry.
Sure, $39,645 for the fire company review and $13,000 for the emergency squad.
Okay.
And a comment on the resolutions. We realize, the committee realizes, the township government realizes that something needs to be done. I don't necessarily feel that the answers are necessarily in-house, so these people are relative experts in their field, so recommendations will be forthcoming on what can be done to do what the municipality really needs in emergency services. So with that, I'll open the floor for a motion. Did you make a motion, or?
Yes.
And then Bruce?
Right.
Second.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. So the last resolution is authorizes a contract with Gruskin Creative to conduct a brand revolution for Hainesport Township. So we're looking to modernize some of our logos possibly, and the way that the town is represented and advertised, if you will.
Branded, right?
Branded is the word, correct. Does anybody have a question on that?
Nope.
I just like to point out is that, I think we had 2 students do this in our bicentennial year, right, in 1976. So I think I'm happy we're doing this as a marketing and sales person. My background, it's well overdue, so I'm happy we're doing this. I'm happy we got input from not only the board and the committee and the employees, but also a number of the citizens, and I really look forward to getting something back.
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah, thank you, Ken.
Vote, please.
I make a motion?
Oh, okay.
I second.
We have a second.
Second. I'll second it.
All right, yeah, Bruce already did.
That's
He
okay.
beat you.
Oh, no worries. I'm at the box here. Sorry.
All right.
Not a problem.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mayor McLaughlin?
yep. And then we have one more resolution that we amended the agenda for. It was 2022-80-5, and I'm going to ask Paula to speak a little bit about how and where the funds came from for
Sure.
that.
So in 2019, the governing body authorized improvements or authorized application to the Burlington County Commissioners for what actually has been their last Burlington County Municipal Park Development Grant for improvements to the municipal playground. Our request was $300,000. We received $100,000. Then in 2020, we made an application to the county as well for CDBG funds for the unitary surface, the PIP surface, which makes the playground conforming to the rear improvement, as well as makes it 100% ADA accessible. We received $75,000 for that. And I also want to note that we are actually receiving an additional $71,000. Fortunately, with our great relationship with that department, they were able to reappropriate unused funds and reached out to us to see if we needed any more funding. So I have not effectuated any resolutions for you on that, but I would like to transform all of the exercise stations from the rubber material that we removed from this playground, and then do the poured in place around those areas as well with that additional 71,000. So that'll be forthcoming. And then we are also utilizing our dedicated municipal open space for the remaining funding for this. So this has been going on for several years. So this certificate number 1 for the first payment to World Corporation is for $143,435 of their $209,143 awarded bid. So this is payment certification number 1 for the work that they've done so far.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody?
Paul, good work by you. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah,
Good work
yeah,
by
you did a great job, yep. So, in a sense, it's free, if almost free, with grant money. Close.
Close.
Doing a lot of homework, right, to track that down and to utilize it and to put it accordingly, so
Right.
that's great.
If I could also just add for the good of the group, unfortunately, with the cost of inflation and the rising steel prices, we actually paid an additional $30,000 on that playground than what we were originally quoted on. So, just wanted to share the implications of the economy and the commodity challenges that we're facing.
So we're open to a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I'll second.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. The next item on the agenda is a presentation on our budget.
Okay.
They'll take it away.
I need a minute to set up. All right. Can you take this? Is it coming up? There it goes, there it goes, there it goes.
Turn the lights off in the back.
Sure, let me turn them off. No, I'll get them, they're back here. So I wanted to let everyone know that our auditor, Bob Nahila, is here. And he's going to help me get through this. Hold on, let me just, how do I get that? There we go. All right. So this presentation is going to be available online. I know a lot of the information is very detailed, but I just want to point out that this is not just for us here tonight, it's also for anybody that wants to jump on our website. It is on there now, and it will remain on there. So this year's budget for operating, hold on, let me just get to my page here. So just to give you a broad lens look at the budget, this year's budget is $5,493,179, less the revenues that we collect from various sources of $2,885,651. So the municipal levy, or the amount to be raised by taxation for local purposes, is $2,607,528. So the operating expenses can be broken out into all of these various areas. Reserve for uncollected taxes, those are for the taxes that we don't collect. Unfortunately, we do need to pay those taxes and pay all the entities that we collect for. So we have to account for the possibility of not collecting that under the RUT. Salaries and wages for all of our municipal employees, $737,000. Our deferred and other debt amount is $750,000. And then one of the highlights of this year's budget is an appropriation of $100,000 to the Hainesport Board of Education. And this is for improvements to their gymnasium floor. And then our capital improvement projects of $935,000. And then our general operating expenses of $2.6 million, a little over 2.6. So I do apologize, I did not include some of the details in front of the statutory expenditures, but that would be our general government functions, which is all of our departments. All of our department expenses, our salaries, as well as our utilities, fuel, water, street lighting for all of our municipal streets, and that is for those general government functions, $2,798,164. And then some other parts of our budget that is subject to our caps, and includes our statutory expenditures, which is the payment to our PERS system, Social Security, unemployment, as well as DCRP. So it's not a big amount, but that is subject to our caps limitations of $158,000. So we've got a caps budget of a little over $2.9 million. And then next we have the part of our budget that is not subject to our caps law. They are excluded from caps. And these are some of those items. So our stormwater permit, every 5 years I have to do the MS4 permitting for all of the stormwater system, whether it's privately held or publicly held. Construction office expenses, our grant funding is in there. And I want to note that there's a $607,000 appropriation on the expenditure side for the ARP funding, and that's the American Rescue Plan funding, as well as the $185,000 DOT grant that we received for Pulaski Avenue, Pulaski, Laurel Ridge Road, and Fenimore Roads. Those improvements. And then we have municipal debt service, $212,000. I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but I think one of the biggest highlights also for this year's budget is this budget pays off all of our municipal debt. So this year's budget makes Hainesport Township debt-free. And then we have deferred charges. We still have that stormwater, or the sewer conveyance system. I believe, Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, that was actually not appropriated money for the sewer?
It was capital money that we did bond for, so we're raising it through the budget.
Right. So we're cleaning that up. That was something that Donna discovered and has been making those payments incrementally. And then again, the transfer to the Board of Education for their school's use. Our capital improvements, $750,000 is dedicated for various projects, including the street center, upgrades, including $100,000 for down payment on fire apparatus, if the municipality chooses to. And of course, that would be based upon the outcome of the consultation or evaluation services that you all approved tonight. It also includes some funding for sidewalk improvements, continued sidewalk improvements in the Claremont section is what we want to focus on next, as well as road improvements. Just trying to see, as well as a generator for here at the municipal building. We also have money appropriated for the electric vehicle station, the charging station. We have made application to DEP for, I believe it was $150,000. And then the resolution that you approved tonight was through BPU for another $75,000. but we also want to replace our very old Ford Explorer, which I believe was 3 business administrators before me, with an electric vehicle. So this budget helps offset any of the grant funding that we don't receive for an electric vehicle charge station, as well as an electric vehicle. And that will come out of the construction office. We also have a cost share requirement for the $500,000 brownfields grant that we received last year through EPA, and that is $70,000, and that's accounted for in here. And then again, some of the budget highlights, $100,000 appropriation from the first pilot payment from the warehouse next to ShopRite. This budget utilizes the same amount of surplus as last year's, 25% of it, a little over 1.2 million. Again, it's a fiscally responsible amount to use, leaving the township with ample surplus for future years. Let me see. So the modest increase from last year's budget is $46,171, or 1.94%. You know, we make this request, the CFO, myself, to continue to plan for our volatile economy. We have fuel surcharges that we have to account for, increased costs in commodities, employee shortages within our private sector contracts, and change orders due to supply and demand challenges and rising inflation.
Paula, can you explain how the surplus is utilized and if and how it's replenished?
Sure. So at the end of the year, any unused funds from the operating budget is put into surplus, transferred over into surplus. And each year, we utilize a specific amount or an amount that our CFO recommends to help offset our expenses.
Right, but that comes back through fees that we can't necessarily anticipate, but generally it gets replenished, correct?
Correct. It does. And there's revenues that, you know, you can only, Bob, please correct me if I'm wrong, you can only anticipate a certain amount of revenues, no more than what you received in the year prior. Correct. So there are times where we do receive more revenues than what we were allowed to account for. That goes into surplus. And again, unused, being responsible departments, being responsible employees, and you all as responsible elected officials not utilizing 100% of the budget that you guys appropriate. And that money does go into surplus the next year.
So over the last 3 or 4 years or recent modern times, has our surplus decreased or increased?
It's remained pretty consistent. It just,
Consistent or actually increased slightly.
So the amount of surplus we have has remained relatively stable, if not a slight increase.
Correct.
correct.
Thank you.
So, you know, there's a lot of different schools of thought about our surplus. You know, we had COVID, you know, and I'd have to say we stayed in a pretty stable position through COVID because of how you manage, you know, your budgets, and we have money set aside for emergencies and shortfalls and should catastrophes like we experience occur.
And Paula, can you detail the pilot and the monies that we were able to give to the Hainesport School District for the gymnasium floor?
Sure, so we received the first payment of the pilot.
Where are those monies coming from?
That comes from Hainesport Commerce Center,
What
their pilot payment.
warehouse?
The warehouse, correct. And a third of the first payment is being dedicated to the schools. And as you all have shared, you know, through the processes, you know, your goal is to support the school through those pilot payments as these projects that the school presents to you come before you. And this was one of them, and it's to replace their gymnasium floor, I believe.
So the warehouse has allowed us to do this. Okay.
May I say that that's money above and beyond what they could raise, because they're limited to a 2% cap, the school district is. So this is an addition to that, so they don't have to work with their normal budget to take care of this gym floor because of this.
So again,
You know-
go ahead, Ken.
I'm sorry, also, in speaking with the school, we asked them what were some of the things that they'd like to do, and what we liked about replacing the gymnasium floor is that it absolutely needed to be done, but it's not just for the kids in school using it for gym class, right? This is where large meetings take place, back to school, like, where indoor soccer takes place from the kids in the town, whether they're out of Hainesport school or not. Volleyball leagues, basketball leagues around South Jersey and our people that live in Hainesport. So by doing that, we're certainly helping the school, which we want to do, and help the students, the current students. But it's also very helpful to the community as a whole. So really happy we were able to use this pilot payment in lieu of the tax dollars from this warehouse, which is really just found money for the school to boom, just go in there and just make a great improvement for our great Hainesport school. And really excited that we were able to do that.
And with regard to this pilot, this will be a continuing payment over the course of years, will it not?
Correct.
So we'll be-
From the developer to the township.
To the township. So we'll be able to do a lot of good, into the future, a lot of good with this. That's good to know.
Correct. So what this means is that the average home assessed at $279,137 this year would see an increase in municipal taxes of $17.90 for the year, or $1.49 a month. So again, Donna and I are very excited to share that this spending plan includes final payments for both municipal debt and deferred charges. So Hainesport Township is now debt-free.
Excellent.
So this is just a snapshot of anticipated, this includes, so this final sheet here shows what the estimated levies are for the local school, the county, the regional school district, as well as the open space tax. So this just reflects the total appropriation and all the other taxes, less the municipality's anticipated revenue, because we're the only one that accounts for revenues in the whole scheme of things. So the total levied estimated for Hainesport Township residents is $20,274,000, but that's for all of those government services. Now, as we start getting those certifications in from the school, as they start passing their budget, obviously, this is going to change, but these are just estimated levies. And Bob, how do you come up with that, those estimations?
We take a conservative approach and try to be actually higher than what we're going to come anyway, because if you don't, if you're undercutting it, it's going to affect your surplus. Your surplus will be down, because like you pointed out, we don't collect 100% of everyone's taxes, but we have to pay them every single cent that they request. So if you are low with those numbers, it's going to affect your surplus.
Yeah, and I'm not sure everybody's absorbing that, but we have to, even if we don't collect your property taxes and roughly 75% goes to the schools, we have to make that up if you don't pay your property tax. So that's why there's reserves in there for bad taxes, uncollected taxes in the budget. Eventually, we, as they say, death and taxes come, but through tax liens and so on and so forth. But meanwhile, the school has to get their check, and the county and whoever else is due money. So it puts the town or municipalities in a little bit of a tough spot if things don't happen correctly.
So this pie chart just shows the various allocation of actual rates and estimated rates. And then this is just another way to look at that with the dollar values.
That's really a great job. This is the best I've seen it explained ever.
Thank you.
Really
You do
good
better,
job.
believe me. And then here's another way to look at it based on percentages.
So you can see that the schools take 48.34 and the regional 19 for almost 70% of the tax dollar, which is pretty much the same, I mean, anywhere, in New Jersey anyway.
And then this is Bob's famous $100 bill.
Yeah.
I love this. This is last year. This is actual tax rate allocation from last year. And that's it.
It's great, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Should I open it to any questions on? If anybody has any questions about the budget in the audience or anything you want to ask, I'm going to open it up real quick while everything's still fresh. Come on up, Mr. Rivicchio.
And we do have a resident online now, other
Okay.
than Mr. Montgomery.
Eric Ravicchio, 620 Hainesport, Mount Laurel Road. Excuse me. Paul, I think you said that there was 100,000 is the payment coming from the pilot program,
That's what the school has asked for, yes.
and that's roughly 1/3 of that payment?
I don't remember what the first payment was.
I believe it was
More-
330.
Pilot's
roughly a
about,
third.
right, 300 and some odd $1,000.
That's the first payment?
First year.
Correct.
What is the total of the payments on the pilot?
A lot, in the millions. It's over,
It graduates like
Over the course
5% a year.
Over the course of the 30 years?
30 years?
Yeah, the entire.
It's a lot. I know I probably won't be around to see it.
I don't recall it, I didn't know it was going up tonight, but it is in the millions.
Okay. That's it.
anybody else? Okay, so, do we have somebody online that had a question?
No, I'm just saying there is somebody online.
Okay, does the committee have any further questions?
I just want to say that was a great presentation. I want to thank you very much.
Well done.
It'll be online. Or it already is, actually. It's been online. It'll stay.
And I'm just gonna, I've been around since the mid-90s, and Hainesport has always been very conservative with their finances. We just don't necessarily do things the way other towns do them, because we're a different town, if you will. And I'm really proud that the debt will be paid off, any debt that we have, and we'll be a debt-free municipality. I don't have any statistics on how many municipalities are debt-free, but I don't really think it's many. Is that right, Bob? There's not too many municipalities, and debt adds to taxes, so that's a tax in itself when there's debt. So I'm not saying at some point we may need to raise debt for certain things, but we've been very conservative, and I appreciate what you've done, Paula, to continue that path. So with that, I'll open the floor for a motion on 2022-76-5.
So moved.
Second,
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Sorry, I'm mute. Yes.
Mayor
Wake
McLaughlin?
up. Yes. So Resolution 2022-75-5 authorizes that the 2022 budget be read by title only.
I'll make the motion,
Second that.
Mrs. Gilmore?
yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes, and now we actually have a public hearing on the budget.
I think you just had that, so.
Yes.
You can go right to 2022 dash.
Okay, so the next resolution is 2022-78-5, which adopts this budget that we just went over.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. So we have some business licenses to approve tonight.
I make the motion, we approve business licenses?
Second.
Sure
that
can.
motion.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. And now we have comments from the public on anything you would like to make a comment on. Come on up, ma'am.
Good evening, Deborah Harris, 7 Elsinore Drive. My comment is in a way related to the budget, but not necessarily pertaining to the budget. So I think it's wonderful that we're debt-free and that there's a surplus and that the township is doing well under the conservative budgetary management. Paula, I believe that you mentioned that there was an increase for taxpayers for this year. So my comment is really more of a consideration. Is it possible that since the town is doing so fiscally well, that there might be a freeze or a stability in the tax rate for homeowners that we might look forward to in the future?
So I had a committeeman one time in past running for reelection, and he demanded that we have no increase for, I guess, to make him look better or to help him get elected and to make it look good to the public. And the CFO at the time literally chastised him. It was an inordinate increase of possibly a very small number, the increase, a percent and a half or whatever. And she turned around and said something that I'll never forget. She said, "You just cost me $750,000 over 10 years by doing what you did." So essentially, by cutting taxes a tiny little bit, or not cutting taxes a tiny little bit, by having a stable tax rate and, again, going up a little bit, it literally puts a huge amount of money in the bank for 10 years from now. Now, what do you think a fire truck's going to cost in 10 years?
So the answer is that
it's not
stable
smart
tax rate
business.
is
It's
not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not
What
smart
about
business.
tax-free holidays, such as Florida is implementing? Is that something that you might consider for residents
Hold on. I'll get.
to stimulate our
Well,
local
again,
business?
I'm not the CFO, I'm not an expert on taxes, I'm just telling you a little story that I never forgot. But, you know, we have issues with our fire department right now. We have equipment wearing out. We have things happening all the time. So to keep us, you know, this is a business. Hainsport's a business. And it takes money to run a business. So I personally think a stable tax rate, you know, I'm paying double, triple the taxes I'm paid when I first moved here. But you can see where the majority of your tax bill goes. It's to education. I mean, we just operate on roughly 13% of your tax dollar. I mean, I can't even get the trash picked up at my business for the amount of taxes, you know, that we pay Hainsport. So we just take a tiny portion, 13 with open space, maybe another point. So, I mean, I personally,
So the answer is no, then,
I
basically,
don't think it's
for
smart business.
fiscal reasons and projections in the
Yeah,
future.
I personally don't think it's smart business, but you want to make a comment?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
we actually have, in the past, recent past, had a tax holiday. We go after the evaluation of the CFO. When they say we could have no tax increase and still maintain our surplus, we do. And in the past, recent past, we've had no tax increase. So each year, we're fiscally responsible by taking the advice of the CFO and saying, if we're going to maintain this surplus, which has been a good surplus to maintain.
Yeah.
So we have done
Yes,
it.
thank you.
And so next year, we could do it, depending on.
Hold on one
So
second.
the
We-
question was, in the future, is there going to be a
Well-
tax holiday? Would you consider that?
We have an expert here. We have our auditor, and Ms. Gilmore asked that I give him an opportunity, which is a very smart idea, to speak about the whole thing with tax. And you know, it's a great point, and I'm a resident too, and I feel the same way you do.
Well, I
I'm gonna
didn't
ask
say
Bob.
that I felt a certain way, I was just asking the question.
Oh, okay, well, I get it, but the question's coming from somewhere, but I'm not trying to
Well, curiosity,
predispose your
given
motive.
that the wonderful state of Hainesport finances, if there is going to be some kind of COVID relief, if you will, in terms of a tax holiday
Right.
for the residents.
Let me ask Bob on that, the original question about your firm's opinion on taxes and surplus and that sort of thing.
And the implications on the cap.
Was is there a possibility that in the future, Hainesport residents might benefit from a stable tax rate? Maybe at least, I will add on for a year or two.
Wait, just before you answer
The
that.
next question was a tax holiday.
So before you answer that, the premise is that there is not a stable tax rate now. The question was, is there a time where Hainesport can benefit from a stable tax rate, which assumes that there isn't one now? So
That's not the
address
question.
it. That's exactly how it was asked.
That's not the question. The premise
That's how it was
is that there
asked.
is an increase for this year and an increase in previous years. Since the town is doing well, would the committee consider a stable, non-increase?
Again, that assumes it's not
perhaps
stable.
maybe next year?
2018, there was a decrease.
So Bob, tell us about surplus
And the cap.
and taxes. Give us an education.
You're debt-free now. However, you may do a whole bunch of roads, and if you go out for financing, Moody's or Standard & Poor's is gonna look at your municipality and say, what are your policies? How well have you managed your surplus? And if they see surplus going up and down, up and down, up and down, they're gonna not take it as favorably if they see a steady, like, you've managed your surplus, and it's always been around the same thing. You utilize in your budget, you anticipate the surplus, but you put mechanisms into replenishing, so you're steady. Think of your surplus as your savings account. Think of the budget as your checking account. You're writing checks. You don't want to deplete your savings account. I mean, we just had a couple of resolutions where I've heard 25% increases in cost and this and that.
So the answer is no, because there might be certain spending for which there might be a decrease in the surplus, so you have to consider the
just-
surplus.
We just came out of,
You don't know.
you
run your
last 2
checkbook
years,
down to zero.
2020. March and April, that budget was.
Well, yeah, I know.
Was like, every municipality. We've done it before.
I want to get rid of her.
We said, what are we gonna do? And I posed a question, if we had no idea what would happen with our tax collections. If we in Hainesport have a pretty decent tax collection rate. If that would have faltered 1%, I said, your surplus would take $1 million hit at least. So we don't know what is gonna happen in the future, to have and maintain a level surplus and not, I deal with, I audit 9 municipalities. They're all over the gamut with what they do. Some say no tax increase, no tax increase, no tax increase. Boom, they have to have a $400 tax increase. To have a little bit. Again, Moody's and Standard & Poor's, they're gonna look at that and say that's good financial management. That's just my experience with it.
That's very helpful, thank you. So it's a financial vehicle management, really strategy. That's great to know, thank you very much.
Thank
for
you.
your
I tried to
time.
get you the right, that's the guy right there to answer. Thank you.
Very good.
All right,
Yes,
glad
thank
he's
you.
here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Anybody else with a comment? Yes, sir, Mr. Puskavich, come on up.
Jim and Michelle Perskavich, 51 Easton Way. How's everybody?
Very well, how are you?
Good? Congrats on your debt-free.
How are you guys? That's the question.
We're hanging in there. It's a process. It's not something that I'd want anybody to go through, but hey, we're doing it. Thank you for the outside experts last time we were here, so I just kind of wanted to go over a couple of things that we talked about the last time we were here, see if we have some answers. And you had this public safety services company. What was the name of that, Paula?
Public
Public Safety Institute, okay.
Institute Group LLC.
I think it's on the actual resolution.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, yep, that's fine. So it's okay, that's great. It's 180 days to get some result. Is that 180 days to get a report in hand?
Yes.
So everything will be concluded from them in 180 days, and then you guys present and react on whatever that is. Okay, that's fine, thanks for that. Got the name, got that. Jerry, you were talking about going to duty crew on
Yeah, I've been there
Wednesdays.
every Wednesday.
Anything
If you
come out
want.
of that?
Yeah, we actually, I've learned a lot, for one. They have 2 new firefighters that are able to drive, which is where we're shortages. As a matter of fact, they missed 1 call last month, and it was due to a driver not being there. These 2 new drivers, one's from New York, and they're fully certified, but it's a little problematic getting their certification transferred to New Jersey, but they will. I could tell you that they're busy, they're doing a lot to recruit right now, and it's they're actively working very hard to be more responsive. And from what I've seen the last month, if I look at their report, I think they're doing a good job, but, I'm looking for progress, and I see progress.
Great, good. The other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention without reiterating all of what went on the day our house was on fire, but there was about a 15 or 20-minute window that they couldn't get sustained water. And something was wrong with the hydrant, or the connections to the hydrant, or the sequence of getting to the hydrant and doing those things. I went through a lot of information, and to let you all know, in that time frame, firemen from West Hampton were trying to get in the back of the house, and they entered the back of the house at that time with the fire going on out front. And the big portion of the house at that point in time was still intact. A lot of smoke, they're in there with their face mask and everything like that. And they exited because the guys, we can't get sustained water, right? So what does all that mean, and why am I telling you that? Because if they had the sustained water, a lot of that portion of the house may not have been totally destroyed. So I just wanted you to know that. And it brings us to the last question about the hydrants. When we were here, we were talking about those things, and I don't recall exactly what was committed, but Michelle.
Paula, you said you were going to be emailing NJ Water or Mount Holly MUA to find out when they had inspected and what's
on those reports.
Okay. Did they give you any time frame to get any of that stuff? Okay. So you just keep on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, keep an eye.
I do know they're actively flushing, and that's part of the testing procedure, when they flush them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's why, I just, that would be helpful for anybody and everybody later on, if anything like this happens again. In this public services, the Public Safety Institute, are they going to look at those pieces? Or is that included in all of that? The fire hydrants, you're just looking at your fire company and the emergency squad services? Okay. Anything else? No. Thank you, everybody.
Jim, I was shocked when I first got on the committee, an invoice, or I think I was signing some checks for a little while, and you won't believe how much money we pay to the water company for the fire hydrants. It's probably hundreds of thousands of dollars.
It's over 9,000 a month.
How much?
For the fire hydrants, it's over 9,000 a month.
$9,000 a month to keep the water and maintain the fire hydrants, and, it's a lot of money.
You gotta get your money's worth.
Well, it doesn't, I don't.
After 20 years, I want my money's worth.
I don't know what,
$9,798.
Yeah, it's on the budget list, and Leela signs most of the checks now,
Yeah.
so, but it's a lot of money, and I don't know I guess we're gonna get a report as to
What they do for that money.
how they're working.
Yes, I mean.
Or when they flush them, they'll know they're working.
I would also hope we get a report from the fire company's connector, what the report is on the connection, because it was also potentially the connector as well.
Yeah, it was an adapter that cross-threaded. From what I understand, it cross-threaded.
Yeah, it's a connector issue as well.
Yeah.
But I do know they fill the trucks about every 2 weeks, or every time they have a drill or something like that, they're constantly refilling the trucks. I was there Wednesday in front of the school filling the trucks.
Again, we had a lot of meetings, and we met with the fire company, our fire official, Paula, Jerry was there. The goal is to get, and it's a national standard for what I saw, is 12 minutes.
Yep.
To get water on a fire. Again, you know, we're a small town, we have the equipment we have, and I think the committee's willing to do whatever the fire company needs within reason, as long as the equipment's gonna be utilized. So we're here to support the fire company. I think everybody knows there's issues here. And, you know, I commend Paula for reaching out. I didn't even know these firms existed, quite frankly, that can come in and, you know, do a comprehensive analysis based on the personnel, the equipment, the logistics of the town, and make recommendations to the fire company and us. And, you know, we're 100% committed. It was $50,000 roughly, so we're putting our money where our mouth is.
We appreciate that.
So, you know, I just want you folks to know, you know, we're friends, and
Yeah, as long as.
we expect improvements, and we're gonna get them, so.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Anybody else with public comment? Anybody online?
There is a resident online. I don't know if they want to unmute themselves. If they have a comment, I don't know.
Okay, you're up, Paula.
No rest.
So I do want to share with the committee, I did email it to you, but is with regrets that our CFO has submitted her resignation. She is on the path to retirement. So this is her first step of several in achieving that life goal. So it is with regrets. She's done a tremendous job, as you all know, and probably share the same sentiment. She's really cleaned up the finance office. Again, we're debt-free. We owe that to her. This budget pays off the Kleiner property. There's no bonding any longer for that. She's just done a tremendous job with the municipality's finances. So it is a loss for Hainesport Township, but she's done a great job for us. And the next person will walk into a well-oiled office, a great office. You couldn't ask for a better office to walk into when you assume a position of CFO. So playground update, as I mentioned earlier, I do want to express to the community, because I'm getting just as frustrated as to why the playground's not done. So the engineering specs that were utilized, there were plans that had been done previously. Unfortunately, there were some grading miscalculations on there. So as a result of that, we have to have a handrail fabricated to adjust for the transition of the new playground to the circular walkway. So now there has to be a step installed because there were some elevation miscalculations on old plans. So unfortunately, that has to be fabricated first and installed before the PIP surfacing can be poured. Hopefully, we will be ready to have a ribbon cutting ceremony the end of the month. But I'm thinking this might be an opportune time to do it on Community Day. So everything happens for a reason. And then finally, Leela, I'm not going to steal your thunder. I'm just going to mention the mobile app is up and running. I'll let you finish with that. Thank you.
Comments from our solicitor?
You know, I just want to make an observation. I've been a municipal attorney for 39 years. I've probably sat through 85, because I've represented a lot of towns over these years, 85 municipal budget presentations. I'm not blowing smoke up anybody's, because you know I don't do that. That was one of the best I've seen. It really is one of the best I've seen. And $1.49 a month on an average home, that's all it is? It was $4.95 a gallon at Wawa yesterday. I wouldn't have been able to fill up my gas tank on that. That's how good I mean, I'm just amazed. So I want to congratulate all of you, because that's a heck of a budget.
Thanks, John, and I agree with you. Comments from the, I'll let ladies go first this time.
Oh, I was going to be the ta-da. Well,
Oh, you want to go last? It's up to you.
well, I just want to thank everybody for attending tonight's meeting, and thank Paula for the wonderful presentation. And to thank Tara for collecting the last of the dogs. The dog. Yes, so that's all. First time in
Yes. As long as
ever.
I've been here, yes.
So that's wonderful. And to thank everybody that came out and participated in Earth Day. It was a wonderful first-time event, and it was enjoyed by everybody that was there. The big thing is, I'm so excited that Hainesport Township's app is now available for both Android and iPhones. So please make sure you download it. You can access it and see all the upcoming events, so I don't have to make those announcements every month. And I'm sure Bruce will be happy about that.
No. Keep making them. You remind me.
The only one that's not on there is the Senior Citizens Club. They meet this Thursday and then again on the 26th at noon at the Street Center. Thank you.
Jerry?
Oh, okay. I'll just reiterate a little bit about the fire department. They've had different training, like high-rise live burn training on 411, pump training, narrow road, long leg, supply training. Like I said, I'm there Wednesdays. I even washed a fire truck or two. It's amazing when you see them pull all the saws out, check them. They pull everything out of the truck, check everything as they go through. I mean, there's a lot of equipment on the truck, you know, hydraulic pieces and more equipment than I would ever think were in those wall boxes. So it's a pretty busy night there Wednesdays. The only thing is they actually have somebody who's designated to cook food, which is nice also, but it's a busy night there. And they got 2 new members, and they're really fully qualified. It's just getting their qualifications transferred to New Jersey, that's all. But I'm real happy about that. On another note, on the 13th, Friday the 13th, we're having our dedication to our Public Works building in the name of Jay Jones. It's at 5 o'clock.
It's on the app.
It's on the app. Oh, okay. And how about on the following day, the 14th, we have the 100th anniversary of the fire department, fire company on Broad Street. And is that on the app?
That's not ours, that's theirs.
Okay.
What time is that?
That starts at, I believe, 2 o'clock. And it goes, they're going to pretty much close the street down, Broad Street. So, and I want to say thank you, Paula and Donna, on a fabulous budget. We're in good hands. This is nice. I'm very happy.
Bruce?
So I'd like to reiterate the great job you all did, Bob, Paula, Donna, with regard to the budget and the presentation. I want to thank Jerry for spending all that time at the firehouse. And with regard to the app, I'm looking at it right now. Beautiful job, Leela. And it just so happens I see June 4th coming up, which will be Hainesport Day, and there's a competition going on called Invest in Our Planet.
Correct.
And I'll just read a little bit to you. So we're looking for your best effort in creating an item that is made with recycled materials and benefit our environment. Some examples of projects to make are bird feeder, bird house, butterfly house, planter, etc. All items will be displayed at the Environmental Commission's table during Hainesport Community and Wellness Day, June 4th, 2022. Residents that come by the HTEC table will vote on entries, and 3 prizes will be awarded. Viewing and voting will take place from 12 to 2:30. There are 3 categories, ages 8 to 12, ages 13 to adults, and families. So everyone please attend, and it looks like Leela wants to add something.
No. I was looking to see if you could get from there to the, some of them you can click on it and get to the flyer.
Well, we'll have to figure that out later. It's brand new, but it's a beautiful job that you've done, and I want to thank you for that, too.
Well, let me tell you, Paula, Jen, I was just a small part of it, and they did a lot of input, and it was a hard work, it was a long time, and I just think it's, like I said, I'm extremely thrilled that it's up and people can utilize it.
And lastly, I just want to reiterate that everything that takes place in this town that is outside the general business requires volunteers. There are a lot of people who like to attend our events, but there aren't a whole lot of people who want to volunteer to assist with the events. None of this really is going to keep happening without volunteers. So I encourage the public who is listening, who is not listening, if you can just relay to people in our public that we need volunteers to keep Hainesport doing the same things it's been doing, which is to really provide services and entertainment to our residents who are, of course, paying the taxes to the town. And we want to make sure that we provide entertaining family things for them to do as well. So please volunteer.
Ken?
Yes, hi. So I'm really happy to see the progress we've made with the municipal playground and looking forward to that opening up, hopefully on Community Day, June 4th. I'm happy to see the progress with our fire department and the resolution to get some consultants in and reviewing that. Love the fact that we have 2 new firefighters and that our 100th anniversary is coming up to celebrate. So a lot of good things. There's progress there, which is very important. Also, would like to thank. I'm happy that we're utilizing the pilot plan from the warehouses, at least from the first payment, and donating money to our great school to upgrade the gym floor, and hopefully that will lower what they need to charge us all. That should help there, and goes into the fact that really excited about the work that our CFO, Donna Condo, did, and sorry to see her go, and appreciate the work that she's done, and Paula, the work that you have done, and Tara along with her. So just a thank you, Donna, and thank you, Paula. To have a stable tax rate, as we just got a little lesson here a little while ago, is very important. Boy, it would be great if we could lower things all the time, but the fact that it's a 1.49% increase after all we've been through, and we're still able to offer services and increase services, I'm really, really happy. I really think we're doing a great job. I'm going to pat ourselves on the back, but also it's not so much the 5 of us, it's all the people we hire and who consult with us that really are to thank. And you know what? Hainesport Township is debt-free. How awesome is that? So I'm going to leave it on that note, and I'm going to look at the Hainesport app to make sure that I'm up to date on all the happenings in Hainesport. So thank you. Hopefully I'll be in person next time.
So,
Hope you feel better, Ken.
not so long ago, we had a packed house of angry residents on Craig Drive, Laurel Ridge, and Sandra Lane about the state of their sidewalks. I think they all know they've been fixed, but I don't see anybody here tonight. But we fixed them, okay? And I haven't had anybody come up and thank anybody from the committee, but we found a way to do it. Government is cumbersome, it's slow, but it is deliberate, and we got it done. Make no mistake about it, I'm under the impression that sidewalks are the responsibility of the resident adjacent to the sidewalk. But I personally felt, and I think the committee felt, that there was some poor planning that took place on those streets with the oak trees in between the curb that basically caused the sidewalks to lift. And I feel that, Hainsport's been here. I mean, I was here for the 75th. When's it coming? We're getting 100 soon?
14.
We're going to be here a long time. So, you know what? That was Hainesport then, and this is Hainesport now, so we basically corrected a mistake that I think if everybody knew better back then, they wouldn't have had the trees put there. But it's really nice. There's a load of kids on that corner now. There's got to be at least 20 children waiting for that bus. And they were sidestepping the sidewalk and everything. Now, there's other parts in town that we're taking a look at. Paula mentioned the Claremont section that were part of the survey that was done last year of sidewalk areas that need to be looked at. Now, we are going to correct them, but again, there'll be a sidewalk ordinance later on in the year. You know, I'm ready for it whenever you are, that it is the residents' responsibility to maintain their sidewalk. Now, we did not correct some cracked sidewalks in front of some of these houses. This last project just took care of the tree issue that, again, I feel the town had a little bit of contributory negligence in that issue. So, I'm glad it was done. I don't think, I don't want to live in I think we're a solvent town. We're not, taxes are not cheap here. They're not cheap anywhere in New Jersey. But I don't think, our residents should have to suffer with poor infrastructure, and they don't, at least on that street anymore. So, Paul, I appreciate you getting that done. Other than that, and I know Ken and Bruce campaigned on that as they walked around the town looking for issues that they thought they could make a difference in. And guys, again, you brought that home. So with that.
Good job, Ken.
And again, it's we're very lucky that we have the ability to do things like that financially. So that's my comment for tonight.
Want to make a motion?
So, yes, we have a
Executive session.
bill list, no, hold on now. We have the bill list to approve.
I make a motion that we approve bill list, get the bills paid.
I'll second that motion.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes, now we do have an executive session tonight for the purposes of discussing personnel and anticipated litigation. John, Paul, do you expect any formal action to be taken after the executive session?
No, just authorization to Paula with regard to filling positions, and maybe some authorization to me. But I don't think the closed session will last more than 15, 20 minutes.
So, are we going to have it here or going?
We'll have it in this room. Ken, I'll call you on your cell when we're ready, okay?
So the people in the audience are welcome to wait in the vestibule if you want to stay. If not,
Okay.
have
So
a nice
moved.
night.
Make a resolution, we enter into executive session.
So moved.
After a break,
Yes.
after a short break.
Ken, I'll call you on your cell phone.
You want a quick vote on that?
Okay.
Wait,
Probably, we're going to take a break, so maybe in about
All
5
in
minutes.
favor of executive session?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, executive session it is. Thanks, Bob, I appreciate your help there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Is Ken going to
Are
take
you
care of the
coming for-
microphones?
Are you going to be here for the audit? Okay. Okay. Thank you
all
very
done?
much.
You all done
Thank you.
now?
I always feel
Yeah,
like I
this
could
is
do
when you cut
better.
out. Have a good night.
Thanks.
I just can't, I know,